right in this cover. That is why we throw Texas Rig Grubs. Look at all this cover right here. Bear it a minute. Look at this. Right in all that cover right there. Throwing Texas Rig Grubs. Right on this side of his face. Not bad. Boy, he ate that thing. Look how deep it took it, man. Let's talk about this. I'm going to show you how to rig it, how to use the rods, what rods and reels and equipment to use, and then I'm going to show you different techniques on how to throw Texas Rig Grubs. Hey folks, Glenn May here with BassResource.com, and today I want to talk to you about fishing a Texas Rig Grub. Yeah, one of these babies right here. Now, if you're not sure how to rig one of these, I've got a video that tells you how to do that, and it's linked underneath this video. You can go check that out later. But what I'm going to talk about today is the different terminal tackle that I'm using and the rods, that sort of thing, and then I'm going to go out and show you how to fish it. Now with this here, what I do the most with this bait is I usually swim it back across weeds, across rocky areas. I'm fishing it that way. Every once in a while, I'll flip it into reeds or weeds, or, that kind of stuff, but not real heavy cover. That's because, with this tail, it likes to wrap around things, and then when you pull it, it'll break off. So I'm not throwing it into heavy cover. So for that reason, I'm using a lighter sinker here. This is just an 1/8 ounce tungsten weight and a 30-pound braid. That's it. Now, if you don't plan on flipping or pitching it into any cover, you can go with copolymer line, maybe 15-pound copolymer line. Don't need to go that heavy with this because we're not digging fish out of deep, heavy cover. But I like to use the braid just in case there's something nearby. I feel like, hey, I want to flip into that. That's why I go with braid, a little bit more versatility. So that's that, and because of that, I'm using braid, and I might be flipping. I use a little bit stouter rod. I'm using a medium heavy action rod. As you can see, it's pretty stout. Bait casting is my preferred outfit. And that's all we do. That's it. Easy setup. Let's go fish it. So the Texas Rig Grub, I like to fish it in a couple different ways. One of them, I occasionally will flip and pitch it into weeds, reeds, into some woody cover, but I don't do that very often because the tail likes to get wrapped up in that stuff and it'll get pulled off and it'll break it. So I don't do it as much. Every once in a while I will, but that's only when the fish are really chasing bait fish. Usually I'll throw something else in there, but if I happen to have one tied on, I want to throw it quickly into a bush pile or something like that. I've got one tied on, I'll throw it in there. Really what I like to use it for is fishing a situation like this. I've got submerged weeds out here. They're about 4 or 5 feet underneath the water, and it's about 15 feet of water. That's when this shines. Or fishing rocky cover, rocky banks, that sort of thing. Anywhere you would throw a crankbait, that's a good place to throw the Texas Rig Grub. And the reason being is this simple. All you got to do is you cast it out there, let it fall to about the level of those weeds, and then just reel it back. You're just cranking it back, just like you would a crankbait. And that's why this is really good in an area. So for example, if you've been fishing an area with crankbaits and the bite dies off, and the fish stop biting it, pick up a Texas Rig Grub and keep casting. Many times you'll start catching them again. You'll pick up right where you left off. So that's a perfect scenario for this bait, except the little difference is because it's a Texas Rig plastic, you can get a little bit further down those weeds than you could with your crankbaits. So if the fish just aren't quite on the surface of those weeds, you want to dig down a little bit deeper, it's another good scenario to fish this bait. Now the hook set, because the hook is buried inside the bait, you do want to have a good stout hook set on this one. So that's the difference. If you're fishing a crankbait, most of the time the fish just hook themselves. So if you switch over to this, get ready to change your hook set as well. And that's really all there is to it. What I might do is I might swim it. So another technique when I throw it out here is I'll do a little bit of up and down. So I'll let it fall, let it get down those weeds a little bit, reel up the slack, and then lift up that rod tip and let it fall. Just pick up the slack as it falls, but I'll drop the rod tip about the same rate that it falls. Lift it back up again and let it drop back down. Here I'm maintaining contact with it as it falls straight down, but I'm still letting it fall straight down. This is, what's referred to as letting something fall in a semi-slack line. And here you're just, swimming it back and forth like that. A lot of times as it drops, that's when the fish want to bite it. It's a very versatile bait, lots of different colors, lots of different sizes, but the retrieves are basically the same. That's it. That's really it. Occasionally I've fished it by just dragging it on the bottom, but I really haven't had as much luck with that. Typically, if the fish are feeding off the bottom, I'll use a different bait. A lot of times what I'll do is for example, in the summer and the winter time, when the fish are out a little bit deeper in the main lake, I'll fish main lake points, rock humps, rock piles, ledges, creek channels, those types of things. That's what I'll target in the summer and the winter. And then in the fall and in the spring, when most of the fish are up shallow and feeding, I'll go to the back of coves, the back of creek channels, protected bays, secondary points, and flats. That's what I'll target with this bait, fishing it just the way I just showed you. If you do those things, you're going to catch a lot of fish. For more tips and tricks like this, visit BassResource.com. Hey, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below. And if you want to watch more videos like this, click one of the images on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.